cool, calm, collective. Biggest influence in my own fishing has been a man called Howard Robson. Not many people would know him, but those that do will understand why. Former England international, and he taught me so many things when I was younger. How to win. Ivan Marks, Kevin Ashurst and Bob Nudd. I think those three between them formed a lot of the new developments in match fishing through their expertise over the years, fishing abroad, fishing in Ireland, and just generally pioneering methods. You know, the likes of Kevin and Bob with long pole, Ivan with feeder, with bream fishing, and obviously with every single method that he fished. Absolute gems of anglers and true legends. Some are not with us and some still are. Present day anglers, I think I've got to name Will Raisin as one of those. He had the benefit of growing up with one guy who's also in there, Stevie Gardner. Steve Gardner is a thinking fish. He's basically human fish. And Will took the things that Stevie had learnt before and he's made them even greater. Will can turn his hand to any style of fishing. So Stevie Gardner, he's not in mainstream match fishing now, but I still regard him as one of the greatest anglers at the present time. And then finally, I've got to say, in the modern world, Steve Ringer. Steve Ringer has been an absolute stalwart for match fishing. Whatever he turns his hand to, he can win. He was in the England fly fishing team before he was bothered about match fishing himself. But you know, he's won lots of festivals down at Whiteacres. He's won Part D Masters. He's won Fishermania, Feeder Masters. He's on his target. He's won Feeder King. He's won Golden Rod. Anything he turns his hand to. Probably world champion, of course. But everything he turns his hand to, he could literally do it. You've also got anglers like Alan Scawthorne. Stevie Gardner doesn't qualify as a present day angler because he's not actually in the match scene. So I'll put Alan Scawthorne in there as well, of course. I've been match fishing since I was 14 years of age. Started fishing club matches and junior matches and quickly moved on to team matches, and it's team matches that took me through the years and probably team matches where I've learnt the most in my fishing. Just that competitive edge, it's fantastic. You're fishing against the fish and you're fishing against the elements and you're fishing against the anglers as well. It makes it even better. The first junior match win was when I was about 12 years old on a Wetherby Club junior match, and I think the weight I had was £3.9, which was about 30, if I recall correctly, 30 odd little fish, perch and roach, and those little fish. My first club match as a junior in the senior matches was one £2.4 chub, which I caught on the River Wharf at Wetherby. And then my first open match was at a place called Smorsings, again on the River Wharf, with £11.15 of dace in the middle of the winter. Lovely days fishing, freezing cold, on the stick float. I've been very lucky. I've won a lot of big matches in my time, but probably the one that sticks out the most is the Part D Masters, or what it was called back then, the Skull Masters. And there's two reasons it stuck out. First reason is it was my first ever sort of really big money match win, £25,000 the winner. And Julie, my wife, was pregnant. We just bought a house, and that money went a really long way to help us getting onto the property ladder and becoming a real nice family. The other thing is that how the match panned out. It was a freezing cold, windy, stormy day at Whiteacres, and we're on Jenny's Lake, and it was a new lake. It's only a few years old, and there's quite a lot of little carp in there. I caught a few little carp on like a meat mush, and then with about 7 or 8 minutes to go, float went under and I hooked a big ghostie. I played this back in the days. We didn't have puller kits. We used white hydros, and you had to play fish very, very differently in those days. So it took me about, I think, 9 or 10 minutes after the match was finished to actually get this fish in. It's a big ghostie, about £9. I would have just won anyway, I think, but the tension I felt when I was playing that fish, thinking it could be a £25,000 fish, it was just incredible. And in the end, I won it, and it's fantastic. That's the best memory, probably as I say, because it's one of the first, but I've had some great matches. I think my biggest match win in recent times has got to be Feeder Masters. I've been in the England team for the European floats, and been on the sort of peripherals of fishing in the world team for England floats. I switched to feeder fishing when Tommy Pickering took the management of it on, and I fished for a few years and it just didn't work out for me. I had a bit of bad luck, and I had a lot going on at work at the time, so it was very, very hard work for me, but ended up not fishing for the world team, and a few years later I managed to win Feeder Masters, and that was a great sort of fillip for me. It was a real morale booster, because obviously I wasn't fishing for England anymore, but to win the most prestigious feeder event in the UK when I'd focused on that style of fishing for a few years, that was probably the most important win for a lot of years for me. My biggest match weight in this country is 247 pounds, which was from Whiteacres quite a lot of years ago. I've had a couple of weights around that in Denmark, and in Ireland my biggest weight was probably my best weight was 178 pounds of roach from the River Bann in Portadown. And I remember that day I only set a couple of rigs up. I ran out of ground bait halfway through the match. I lost a rig, I had to set another one up. I could have probably done 200 pound of roach that day if it was a bit more organised, but I was just a kid then. But they're my biggest match weights. My perfect combination of fishing is probably fishing a natural venue, somewhere like Porth or Tamar Reservoir, where you can catch a good net of fish on a feeder at the start, and you put some bait out and feed your pole line, and then come in on the pole line late where you put loads of bait in, and there's a raft of bream on there, so you've had that good start on the feeder, you kept topping up on the pole line. So I've been greedy really. I've caught on different methods, but I've ticked several boxes on how I like catching fish. Love catching bream, love catching roach. Skimmers are a fantastic fish for me, and I've caught loads of them in the last few years on certain venues. Absolutely love skimmer fishing. I love sport. I love all kinds of sport. I will watch any sport, but I enjoy watching rugby. I enjoy watching the mighty Leeds United. Even better now they're actually in the Premier League, which is just something unbelievable. You know, they've been out of it for 16 years, so it's just fantastic to watch them. But I love any kind of sport. I watch golf and cricket, and well, again, anything, some motorsports. I enjoy swimming myself, and that's how I keep fit. And my son does a lot of swimming, so I support him and watch him in the swimming. Like to see the guys in the Olympics and world champs, people like James Guy and Adam Peaty, you know, fantastic representation for England. They don't get enough credit, these guys, they're superhuman. I'll be straight off to Alphonse Island in the Seychelles fly fishing. Try and get a triple crown. That's basically a bonefish, a GT and a permit. Fishing in perfectly beautiful, clear blue water on the salt flats in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Be absolutely amazing, that would. Three things I wouldn't go to a match without: my hat, I'm a baldy, a drink, and my watch. Without those things, I don't think you can function correctly, because you cannot concentrate and be right if you're thirsty. You can't understand your timings in a match if you're not looking at your watch and just working things out and trying to get everything right. And you need hydration. Start dehydrating, you can't think properly. Any regrets? Maybe I shouldn't have jumped over from feeder from pole to feeder in the England team. By jumping to feeder, it cost me my place for certain, because there was no way that you can do both. You can't focus. But other than that, I've loved every part of my match fishing career. I don't have any regrets. I think if I hadn't had as high a profile job in the angling industry, I could have maybe gone even further in fishing. But I've got a great job, I've got a great family, and I really do feel like I've hit the best balance for me in my match fishing career. So, no regrets. Oh, there's quite a few characters in match fishing. It's very, very difficult to name one. I mean, one that springs to mind from the past is a guy called Gary Wally, who's still emptying places now up in Manchester. He's as funny as they get, absolutely hilarious guy. But I've had some great laughs with a lot of people throughout the country, really. I can't really think of anyone else in particular. Funniest guy in fishing. Oh, that's hard. That is hard. Dean Barlow's hilarious. He's absolutely hilarious. He's great fun. He's a brilliant angler. He's really serious about his fishing. But oh man, he'd half make you laugh. He'd just crack a joke instantly about anything. My favourite bits about match fishing are certainly the banter, the camaraderie. I love team fishing. I've fished in some great teams, and it shapes your life in terms of fishing, because you meet so many good, really close friends. Go away on these big matches, go abroad on the big matches, have a good laugh, really serious, live together for a week, 2 days, whatever, and it's great fun. Currently fishing with mainline match on the feeder masters, and that's great fun as well. Got a great team there. So I would say team fishing is one of the most important things for me. But I think overall it's a competition. I just love competing. You know, my family say I'll actually won't give in until I've won, and that's probably one of my best traits. I won't give in till I've won. Sometimes you can't win all the time, but you can start again and have another go. So just don't get in, don't give in, because if you do with match fishing, if you take it too seriously, there's too many elements that you cannot fight against all the time. You've just got to accept sometimes that these elements beat you, whether it's the weather, whether it's the fish not feeding, whether it's drawing the wrong peg on the wrong day, whether it's anglers that are drawing better pegs, whether it's anglers that fish better than you. There's lots and lots of things that are so important, but being competitive is one of the best things ever. The worst things about match fishing for certain are the lows of having bad runs of fishing, the putting the preparation in, going and practicing your heart out, prepping your heart out, making sure you've got all the right gear, spending a lot of time away from your family, and you go to a match or you go on a festival and the first day you draw absolutely pants. Now that's something that you have no control over whatsoever, and it's not having the control that is the worst thing in match fishing. You've got to accept that you can't win every time. You've got to accept that you can't be on the best peg every time. And if you can accept that, then it's great, but it is still one of the worst things. The time and effort put in does not always equal the reward that you deserve, but you've just got to put with it. Casters every day. I'd rather catch whatever it takes to win. If it's £15 a roach, then great. On a winter match, fine. If it's £150 a carp, then great. I love the variety of fishing, so it would be wrong of me to say I prefer one or the other. One day I like to fish for roach, other day I like to fish for carp. And it's that variety that keeps me going in fishing. It's always coffee, unless in winter sometimes I have a bit of soup, but that's an extra flask. I've still always got my coffee with me just in case, and I've always got a cold drink. That depends on what Dave Wesson's bringing me on the day. But normally when I'm having to bring it myself, being a tight Yorkshireman, I like to have a brunch bar, because I can leave it in my bag, and no matter how long it's been in my bag, it's still in a good state to eat, which is probably one of the best reasons to keep it. My last match was Patsell Park, a 3-day festival. It was an absolute grueler for me, and I drew the wrong rotation. There was 3 weights over £70 in the week. They all came from the same section, and it was a section that I wasn't in. So I completely missed the rotation, but unbelievably I caught 5 fish over 3 days and won the festival on points. So you can't fault that, can you? My next match is the Barston Masters on Saturday. First round of the qualifier for the Masters. So looking forward to that. And the day after, I'm right here at Decoy. So hopefully a qualifier for the Feeder Masters, a nice early qualification that'll give me a few weeks off. I can chill out and enjoy my kid's birthday.